Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Halal Times YouTube channel. You might think of halal as just being a set of Islamic rules about meat. But the global halal industry incorporates everything from medicines to cosmetics to fashion to tourism and so much more. And the industry is growing fast. Since its inception in 2006, Halal Development Corporation Berhad from Malaysia has been playing an important role in generating business opportunities for the community of stakeholders within the country's halal ecosystem. Today, we are excited to have the presence of the Chief Executive Officer of the Halal Development Corporation, Mr. Hairol Ariffein Sahari. He has a distinguished career in the halal industry, and he is a game changer who is making halal your first choice in business venture. Mr. Hairol, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for your taking time out of your busy schedule to speak with us today, sir.
Walaikum salam. Thank you to you for giving me this opportunity, to talk to the global audience which you have.
Thank you, sir. And today I want you to take the opportunity to speak with you to get a better understanding of your valuable thoughts about the halal industry in Malaysia and globally, of course, as well. And specifically, as you know, the halal industry is growing fast, and Malaysia is playing a significant role as a country to grow the halal industry, not only within the country, but all over the world as well. So the very first question which I wanted to ask you, sir, of course, before we go any further, is that you are one of the most important halal industry professionals, not only in Malaysia, but globally as well. But it is possible that some of our viewers may want to know more about you, your background, and how you got started with the Halal Development Corporation, Berhad, Malaysia.
Thank you, Hafiz. Yeah, thank you, Hafiz, for the question. Let me start by introducing myself. You can call me Hairol in short. I come from the state of Johor in the south of Peninsular Malaysia and hold a degree in biotechnology from University Putra Malaysia, or formerly known as UPM. For information, UPM is one of leading research universities in Malaysia, particularly in agriculture and food industry. And currently, I am an associate fellow of University Utara Malaysia and a fellow of the Chartered Institute of Logistics and Transport Malaysia. Historically, Hafiz, my career and experience spanning 2 decades is dedicated to serving in industry development initiatives led by the government, commencing with the Malaysian Investment Development Authority, or MIDA, in 2003 as an assistant director during that time, responsible for investment promotional activities and industrial support services. In 2005, I served with Malaysian Biotechnology Corporation, or popularly known as Biotech Corp, a government agency responsible for implementing initiatives under the National Biotechnology Policy to develop and promote Malaysia's biotechnology industry. In 2008, I remember I joined a pioneer team member in the Northern Corridor Implementation Agency, or NCIA, to establish, oversee, and promote the economic and social development of Malaysia's Northern Corridor Economic Region, or NCR initiative. And 2 years after that, I commenced my service with HDC in 2010. And specialized in project planning and monitoring of government developmental programs for the halal industry. My focus in HDC has always been on delivering key strategic initiatives successfully. That includes the implementation of various developmental programs on halal in the 10th, 11th, and the current 12th Malaysia Plan. So on top of this, the most important initiatives in my record book are number one, the implementation of the Halal Industry Master Plan 2030, and number two, the establishment of Malaysia's Halal Industry Development Council in 2020. So I rose in rank to the position of Chief Executive Officer in 2021. And since I took this responsibility, I am very consistent on my objective to transform HDC into a relevant, visible, and prominent organization in promoting Malaysia halal industry, developing its halal business ecosystem, and most importantly, connecting it globally.
That's really amazing, sir. And what are the main responsibilities of the Halal Development Corporation, which you've been undertaking as the Chief Executive Officer?
Yeah, thank you. HDC is an agency under the Ministry of International Trade and Industry Malaysia. Yeah, the mandate given to us is to be the central coordinating agency for all matters regarding halal ecosystem development in Malaysia. So in order for us to carry this mandate, the government of Malaysia in 2020 has appointed HDC as the Secretariat of the Malaysia Halal Industry Development Council, a council chaired by the Prime Minister of Malaysia. The council is established to steer the halal ecosystem development agenda according to the Halal Industry Master Plan 2030. The vision, like you mentioned earlier during our earlier part of the conversation, HDC has a vision to make halal the first choice in business venture. So let me explain more about this. So the purpose here is to inculcate a choose halal first mindset among our industry players and stakeholders, meaning whenever an entrepreneur wants to set up a business, he or she will choose to produce halal goods and services. So, and whenever an investor wants to invest, he or she again will choose to invest in our designated halal industrial parks. And whenever a person is looking for a job, he or she will want to work with halal certified companies. So this is what the vision is all about. Think halal first, or choose halal first mindset among the industry players and stakeholders. The mission, on the other hand, is to provide solutions for our industry players to excel in the halal market space. The key word here, Hafiz, is solutions. So the reason why our clients came to HDC with various issues and challenges which they face on daily basis. Yeah, so they might need some knowledge on halal standard and requirement. They might need some business intelligence, or maybe they want to know where they can export their product or where they can sell their products. Some of them might need funding or maybe access to certain markets. And some of them even came to HDC to get some information or access to certain technologies. Maybe they want access to competent talents to be hired, or maybe a new place where they want to set up their factories. So the expectation is very high. So they will expect HDC to know all the answers, or at least after they finish meeting with our consultants, they went out. They went out from the office. At least they have some ideas on how to better manage their situations. And come to our role. In short, is to facilitate the onboarding of industry players onto the halal economy with the objective to, we want to achieve three things. Number one, to increase Malaysia's halal export. And number two is to bring in more direct investment into our halal industrial parks. And thirdly, we want to create as many quality employment opportunities as we can for Malaysian halal, for Malaysian in halal industry. So that is, in short, what HDC is all about.
That's great. Wonderful. Amazing, sir. And how has the Halal Development Corporation evolved since it was established in 2006? I know that you have been attached with the HDC for the last 12 years or so. And of course, you know almost the history from the beginning, you know everything. So could you please let us know how it has evolved over the time?
Yeah, this is a very interesting question. Yes, you are correct. I joined HDC in 2010, about 12 years ago. As such, I do not know in detail what exactly happened prior to my time, except based on some old records which I read after I joined the corporation. However, I can summarize HDC's evolution into three major phases. Yeah. So let me start with the first phase, things that I can remember. During the first phase, within the first 5 years since HDC's inception, it was all about promoting halal as an agenda which is beyond religious matter and promoting Malaysia's halal products and services all over the world. So what we did was HDC went all over Malaysia and across the globe, wherever there were events or platforms related to halal, to conduct its promotional activities, whether in the form of exhibition, seminar, conference, or trainings. I would say that such approach resulted successful and unsuccessful. Yeah, successful in the sense of we created plenty of eye-openers and big excitement among many countries on halal. So when we started all this, I still remember there were only a few countries knew about halal. But nowadays, I can proudly say that all countries in the world know or at least have some ideas what halal is all about. However, the unsuccessful part of it was we shouted a lot, but the outcomes, the results were, I would say, intangible and hard to measure. And at that time, our stakeholders, which is our ministries, our government at one end, started to question on how can our small and medium-sized enterprises could leverage out of all the excitement we created. So what we did was we went back to the drawing board. So, and then we came to the second phase. It's a very long phase, about 10 years, from 2011 to 2020, where we started to create various programs to benefit our halal SMEs. So what we did was we created programs to increase the capacity and capability of our local SMEs. We also strengthened our training programs and started to produce what we call halal trained personnel, known as halal executives and halal internal auditors. We slowed down our general promotional activities a bit and channel our resources on more targeted events, including the World Halal Conference. And for the domestic, we have the Halal Malaysia Tour program. Again, Hafiz, yeah, there were high side and low side about program-based approach like this. The good thing was we started to create tangible results. We managed to produce macroeconomic numbers such as halal exports, investment into our halal parks, number of employment created, and we were the first to report the actual contribution by halal industry to Malaysia's GDP. But the downside about program-based approach is programs usually got shelf life, meaning that once the government stopped funding them, it dies off most of the time. Hence, from HDC's point of view, this approach is good, but not really sustainable. So when I took over in 2021, we started the third phase evolution to create a new HDC. So our plan is to make HDC more relevant, more visible, and more prominent locally and globally. So in order to achieve this, we are currently transforming HDC from a program-based organization into a core organization. So what we did was we started to introduce core services, which we believe could address key issues and challenges faced by our industry players. Here, we gave birth to 5 core services. Number 1, our Halal Training Institute, or HTI. Number 2, our consultancy, Halal Consultancy and Advisory, HCA. Number 3, our Halal Parks. Number 4, Halal Knowledge Center. And number 5, Halal Event Management. And number 6, Halal Integrated Platform. So on top of this, we started to strengthen our international cooperation and domestic cooperation initiatives. Internationally, connecting Malaysia's halal ecosystem with halal ecosystem available in other countries. And domestically, we try our best to strengthen the synergy between the federal government and the state's government in halal agenda. So that is in short and long about HDC evolution for the past 12 years. Hafiz.
Right, sir. And what are the major halal initiatives you've been working on recently since you took over as the CEO of HDC?
The major one I would say is the Halal Integrated Platform, or HIP. To explain what HIP is all about, let me summarize it. So HIP is a networking platform that will host over 200,000 halal industry players by 2030. So HIP,
it's a big number.
200,000
Amazing.
halal industry players by 2030. HIP will also attract over 300 partners among ministries, agencies, educational institutions, research institutions, financial institutions, property developers, and many more to support our halal SMEs through a single platform. So to describe HIP in more detail, imagine that company A, which is an HIP member, demand for a specific product, maybe ingredients or maybe a service. And at the same time, we have company B, which is also an HIP member, has the willingness to supply the goods or services to company A. But unfortunately, maybe, company B is facing obstacles in doing so because of many issues that company B facing, including maybe not enough capital, not enough workers, not enough technologies, or maybe his current factory is not big enough to produce the desired quantity of the products which company A wanted. So this is where HDC comes in with its intervention. We will provide our bespoke training and consultancy services. But however, not all issues could be addressed directly by HDC. So this is where HDC will connect the company B with relevant organizations that has suitable intervention or solutions for company B. So in a nutshell, whatever company B needs, everything can be found in HIP. So in summary, Hafiz, HIP is HDC in virtual format. So it is a virtual one-stop center for halal industry players and supporting service providers. So it gave HDC, by going virtual, it gave HDC a longer and wider reach to its customers nationwide. So this is our unique strategic response to the new norm caused by the pandemic. And for information, we just launched this HIP in September last year, and at the moment, we already have over 7,000 members in it. So the onboarding rate is very high, about 900 members per month. So of course, to learn more about HIP, you can always visit our website, www.hdcglobal.com.
And could also non-Malaysian companies become member of?
Yes, it's open, and to become a member is no payment required. It's free of charge.
Great, sir. That is a big news for a lot of companies, I guess, around the world who would like to become your member. And of course, this platform will provide an opportunity, to my understanding, to basically to connect with one another and do business together in a professional manner. That's really amazing job you've done. And sir,
because when we talk about when people talk about platform, they always thought that platform is e-commerce. But HIP is more than e-commerce, because e-commerce is only one of the modules inside HIP. So that is the beauty of HIP.
Right, sir. And for the last almost 2 years, we've been facing COVID-19. And how has the pandemic affected the halal industry, and what specific steps you've been taking to minimize its negative impact on the Malaysian economy?
Oh yeah, it was a very hard time for all of us, for the past 2.5 years. But now it's a big relief when the government, now we are in Malaysia, we are moving into endemic phases, and since the government opened the border for travel, it has been a very huge relief for the business community, including the halal business community. But to answer your question, COVID-19 pandemic has affected halal industry in 2 ways, the way I see it. Number one is on halal supply chain disruption, and number two, increase in production costs. Halal supply chain was disrupted when our halal manufacturers face very limited access to halal raw materials or ingredients. So I think you understand that for a manufacturer to produce halal and goods, all the ingredients introduced into the manufacturing activities must be certified halal as well. So when that happened, when they have limited access to the certified halal raw materials or ingredients, what happened was they could not produce halal finished good at a maximum capacity. So during the MCO also, movement control order, halal audit by the certification bodies could not be done. So many applications could not be processed at that time, and that has affected the overall production of halal goods. So from a basic economic knowledge here, we all know that limited access to all these important components in the halal supply chain has caused production costs went up. So all these are matters that are related to or directly related to halal. And we know many more issues and challenges faced by the industry players, in particular the SMEs in general, and halal SMEs receive no exception from any of them. So now, alhamdulillah, we are entering a post-pandemic phase. So as far as Malaysia is concerned, I would safely say that the export will definitely goes up, and investment will start pouring in into our industrial parks. But the bigger question is, will our industry players be ready to handle the new economic wave and capture the opportunities that it brings? So only those who are resilient throughout the pandemic period will stand above the rest entering the endemic period. So in order to give some ideas about our local halal industry situation, for the past 1.5 years, HDC has engaged over 5,000 local SMEs. Yeah. So through our interventions, over 1,000 of them recorded more than 40% increase in sales even during pandemic period. And out of that number, 500 of them are now securing contracts with various parties. And out of that, over 100 express serious intention to expand and relocate business into halal industrial parks or bigger factories, forecasting domestic investment about ringgit Malaysia 500 million. So not all is bad. So as long as the company knows what to do, and then they know where to turn to, and we agencies like HDC and partners, be it agency within the Ministry of International Trade and Industry and or outside the ministry, we are ever willing to assist and also facilitate all these small and medium-sized players for them to be more resilient throughout the period. So once they are resilient throughout the period, so now we are moving into this endemic phase. So they definitely have a better advantage compared to the rest in capitalizing or leveraging whatever opportunities happen after this.
Right, sir. And are you generally satisfied with the growth of the halal industry in Malaysia and around the globe during these times?
This is a very interesting question. Yeah. This question is too big for me to answer. I'm just a small and ordinary guy who tries to do things differently for our halal industry. My energy and focus is dedicated to make Malaysia most competitive country, the global halal arena, based on its existing strength. So in order to achieve this, my approach is pretty basic. Yeah. So firstly, to attract more players, even though they have not yet certified halal, to participate in the supply chain. And secondly, we position halal products as premium products in the market to incentivize conversion of general halal players into certified halal players. And thirdly, we must facilitate those certified halal players to become bigger players in the supply chain, for example, becoming major producers, major exporters, or maybe owners of global franchise. So I welcome participation by other countries. For me, the more, the merrier. Simply because globally, we are facing an 80% supply versus demand gap of halal goods. So, Hafizia, this is a huge pie, which more than enough for everyone to chew. And because of that, I choose to collaborate and create values together with partners all over the world.
Right, sir. And you briefly mentioned about some of the challenges and the opportunities which the global halal industry has to offer to everybody, to every country, to everybody, whosoever he or she is, or whether they are working in a business capacity or they are working with any government-related organization. It's got opportunities for everyone. So that's really amazing news for a lot of people who might think that maybe it's already saturated and nobody else can enter into the industry anymore. It's really a welcome news for many people, I guess. And sir, what are the major challenges the halal industry has been facing according to your point of view?
Yeah. If you asked me this question 3 years ago, my generic answer will be lack of awareness on halal, maybe slow yet costly halal certification process, or maybe poor access to halal raw materials and poor access to halal trained personnel. So these are the things challenges faced by the industry players, maybe even before COVID, let's say 3 or 5 years ago. But you see, challenges, whether you are in halal industry or any industry in this world, will always be there. So the good thing is nowadays information is at your fingertip. If you search well, surely you will find various potential solutions out there which you can explore. And as for HDC, we are here to assist. So reach us and we will try our best to help you manage your issues. So as a leader of HDC, I am more inclined to spend more energy to find ways on how to drive our industry player towards bigger success. So I observe halal industry like any other industry. When we ask the industry players on what they need, they will always say that they want two things. Number one, they need money. Number two, they will need market. So we give them opportunities or platforms to better access to these two items. So I have no doubts that they will be hungrier to achieve better results. As such, we will focus more on these two areas when creating our intervention strategies in the future.
Right, sir. And what message would you like to give to the future and aspiring halal industry professionals who would like to move into your footsteps in the future?
Wow, okay. Going digital is a standard answer to this question. Yeah, so we cannot run away from it. So I think everyone by now knows how important it is. But what is the business culture we need to sharpen here? That is one big question. If you ask me, the professionals and the industry players must be proactive instead of being reactive. Yeah, meaning proactive in getting new market, proactive in identifying a bigger pool of suppliers, proactive to have access or more information to a bigger pool of talents. Search into the entire ecosystem. Yeah, this is the time where we must explore products or knowledge consolidation to capture big demand. Think big. Yeah, achieve 1% market shares in a $1 trillion USD market is way better compared to achieving 30% market share in just a ringgit Malaysia 5 million market. So we need to think big. So internally, my advice to people out there, they need to tighten up our documentation, contracts, business terms, etc. Most important among all is cash flow management. So think about profitability. Yeah, how do we achieve profit? So for me, the thing that I learned from my guru, we must do 4 things. Yeah, number 1, we need to increase revenue. Yeah, that is number 1. Number 2, we need to manage. We need to be able to manage or reduce our costs. Yeah. Number 3, we collect debt as soon as possible. And number 4, we pay debt on the very last day of the given credit terms. So if you master these 4, then your company will reach profitability in no time. Yeah. So all these are basic rules in shaping our your business dynamics. So HDC again is here to facilitate. We can provide platform for you to connect and to grow, but we cannot make decision for you. So it is you who must decide what's best for your business. Think fast, think slow, yeah, get your thought process right, make less decision based on gut feel, make decision based on analyzed data. So God willing, you'll be okay, inshallah.
Good, wonderful, sir. It's been an amazing journey, and I'm sure our readers will be able to learn a lot from the insights which you have shared with us today. And I really want to thank you again so much for the wonderful opportunity you provided us to speak with you about such important topics today, sir. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Hafiz.
Thank you so much, sir.